Take a seat, sit back, and relax, because you are listening to Real Talk Radio, where the talk gets real. Welcome to Big Brother Canada Season 9.
Week 1 recap.
Welcome everybody to Real Talk Radio. This is your boy Justin JLB, and we are at that season once again, folks. We are at Big Brother season. This time, Big Brother Canada has come to play after their issue last season with the whole pandemic. They are finally back, and we are going to recap with you the first episode, the premiere episode, introducing all the house guests along with night 2. Of course, I am not here alone. I am here with one of my BB fanatics, CiCi. How goes it?
Hey, it goes well. It goes well. Thank you for inviting me back. This is awesome.
Yes, absolutely. We're watching it. Might as well talk about it. We're all excited. And should be a good time. So I had almost forgotten that Big Brother Canada was starting early in March. I had randomly saw that the sneak pictures for the house was released like a few days before. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that might have been the time that it was released anyways. And I was like, oh, wow, there's a Big Brother happening. And so I just got instantly excited, a surprise excite. And so it started off with a nice little intro, the sequel, because they weren't able to finish last season. And they basically mentioned that it was going to be, Arissa mentioned that it was going to be a little different for the first few weeks because simply it was going to start off into teams.
Yeah. I mean, let's remember that usually bbCan shows up kind of earlier in the winter time. So it was a little bit of a springtime surprise. We weren't 100% sure it was going to happen. But yeah, the twist of we're starting in teams, little pulling from some other reality shows to try to mix it up a little bit at the start here, which is awesome.
That's it. Pulling a little Survivor out of their hat, if you will. Maybe. So I don't think US has ever done a teams thing. I think it's more of just been you're in alliances and alliances.
They have.
They have.
So They brought in team captains, but they did 4 teams. So not 2 teams, they had 4. That's when Boogie and Dan came back, and I'm shamefully not remembering the other team captains. It has been done in the US, though.
Okay, fair enough. So not totally original, but still haven't seen it for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's certainly, it's been, that's it. I didn't even remember it. So, but at least that's kind of cool. Change it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it was announced that apparently we got to vote on who the team captains were going to be, but I obviously didn't get to know.
Oh, good, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I didn't even know there was a team vote. Like, did I miss this? Is this a hoax, or was there actually a vote? There was actually a vote. I went and fact-checked people to make sure.
Don't trust them already. Jesus.
Already, I don't trust them, no.
No, fair enough. And so it was revealed to us that Tina and Kiefer were going to be the team captains, and they show us a little video package on them. Kiefer is, I probably should have had these in the notes, but it was interesting because Kiefer is, I believe, one of the first native, I forgot his tribe, but he's one of the first native house guests who have been on Big Brother. So I thought that was an interesting way to bring Kiefer in, and he's from British Columbia, and I believe he said it was a graphic designer. I don't necessarily. I could always click on his name.
I think
here.
It's Tina who's the graphic designer.
Yeah, that's
Kiefer. Yeah, I think he's a
radio host. He's just like moi.
He's a radio host. Yeah. Second First Nations, I believe, Brother Canada.
Oh, second. Okay, fair enough.
But nice little representation there between the two of them.
Yeah, that's it. So, and he seems cool. He seems very down to earth. That's always great. Tina, on the other hand, she's from Newfoundland, which is always fun. I'm down to hear some Newfoundland slang in the Big Brother house because I find it always very interesting, very different from the rest of Canada.
It's essential
Um,
to BB Can. Anybody who's new to this season, essential. You need to have your newfie.
You need to, for sure.
Gotta.
They've always had one. You gotta
Always.
have it. And she is the graphic designer, and we
Yeah.
find out that she's also a lesbian. It was mentioned she's been with her wife for 20 years. And she's looking forward to playing the Big Brother game. And we find out that they go into the house right away, and they're locked into a room because they are going to, that's when they get announced that they are now team captains. And they will get to watch the house guests come in, but there will be no sound involved. So far I'm liking that.
Yeah, can we just talk for a moment how Canadian this vote was? Because if we look to the rest of the cast, which maybe we'll get to later, this is very clearly a Canadian pick, protecting those who are the most interesting but may not last the first couple weeks. Very Canadian, coast to coast. So we got some from BC, we got some from Newfoundland, guy and a girl. I'm honestly, this is such a Canadian pick. I'm really proud of the viewers who knew about it ahead of time in order to vote.
Yeah, very, very different. They definitely went coast to coast with it, which I thought was cool, which may lead me to believe it could have been maybe an editor's choice, if you will, to make it that way too. We never know technically with the votes. When you check, did it give the results?
Hence the fact check. No, I did not actually see the result amounts. I just went to see that it was posted.
Okay, fair enough. Nice. And with that, Rissa starts introducing essentially everybody else. We got Austin Duquois, who is from Newmarket, Ontario, and she's a realtor model, 23 years old. I don't know. She seems okay. I don't really have any kind of impressions on her yet. Maybe it's a bit too early to know. Anything on her? Got any vibes from her yet?
Well, she kind of was part of that trio that kind of formed. So yeah, no big vibes other than I think, she's representing a particular stereotype. We'll see if it's intentional or not. So see what happens.
Fair enough. What trio are you referring to? We might as well just get into that because I don't know if I want to follow the same way that we did last year. Yeah, because I'm down to mix it up and really get to the nitty gritty.
The kind of first introduction we get to this trio, we have Julie, Brayden, and Austin. So Brayden, I don't know if you have their bios up, but Julie, she is from Vancouver, transgender, so coming out story is included kind of in our episode, and they form the Dolls Alliance, the three of them.
Right, totally forgot that was Austin that was in that one. I was still trying to learn everybody's name. But yeah, so they made the Dolls. So that to me was very interesting with Julie. Totally could have fooled me. I didn't know that she changed sexes. We saw a picture of her when she was a man. Just didn't feel right about it and made a switch. And that's, I believe, the first transgender we actually have in the BB house that at least was mentioned. Or am I wrong there too?
Not sure. I won't say 100%. I believe she did mention wanting to be the first to win, and maybe being the first transgender on BB Can. I can't remember. I know that we've had transgender representation in US for sure. So this may be first.
Maybe the first for BB Can.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is cool.
And then we also have a cop in the house. So we got Latoya Anderson, who's from Pickering, Ontario, a police officer. She actually does mention in the house, and I think this was her coming out story, that she is bisexual. So
yes. Yeah, there was a lovely moment. There was a lovely moment in this episode where it just kind of was put out. I believe it was it was either Tyshawn or Jedson. One of those two basically asked for coming out stories, which is so cis male, but whatever. So yeah, we had this moment where Julie shared, Josh and Brayden also both shared their coming out stories, and yeah, Latoya basically came out on national television. So yeah, it was an interesting moment. She was, I haven't really come out of the closet because I don't really feel like there's a reason for me to have to explain anything, and I think that that's a place where a lot of bisexual, particularly bisexual women sit, right? So it's like, well, I don't really have to have a coming out story. I need to have one. That rite of passion, like that, it's not a rite of passage to have one of those. So yeah, coincidentally, she then had her coming out story on national television, which is kind of funny. But it was a beautiful conversation, I think.
And I'm surprised that it happened so soon. Well, we might know why. Actually, it happens right away. But I'm surprised that they all had this conversation. I guess getting to know each other too, that kind of thing is going to come out. Obviously, with Brayden, it's more easy to tell that he might be, he might be homosexual just because he's very flamboyant, kind of like how Gary was, and so on. I'm surprised no one was shocked by Julie's mentioning maybe she had talked to several people beforehand. I thought Julie would have kept that just secret, so it doesn't end up being a target on her back. Just because, I don't know, they could say, oh, she could be playing both sides of the spectrum using her strength or whatever how people could just make up these, and she would be very different from everyone else, kind of ordeal. But she mentioned that she's very candid with her story, and that's great. And she was very opening with everything there, and everybody just took it astride and was very compassionate and caring. So I thought that was really cool. And not sure if they would happen the same way in BBUS, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I also think like what you're kind of bringing forward is an old school kind of mentality. I think you have to remember now that the average age of people who play are in their early 20s, right? This is a group of people who have grown up in a different with a different set of vocabulary around gender and sexuality and things like that. So we are seeing now a generational shift that we're going to start seeing in reality TV. And of course, Big Brother's no exception. I also, if I'm being honest, I would say probably, Julie was talking about it with a few people, sharing her story. And this likely, I'm going to be honest, is probably what prompted that question when they were in the group, was curiosity. So, I mean, I think however it happens. Julie was very, very forward and wanted to share her story. So at the end, it ended up being a nice moment for the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was very cool of them to showcase. Arissa then actually technically comes back to and starts saying, well, guys, it's going to be a little different. By the way, now that everybody knows each other, we are going to start... I'm just letting you know that there's actually already 2 other people. She brings out Tina and Kiefer, who are now going to pick teams, or one will, I had that written, where Kiefer would be on, where actually Tina is Team Destiny and Kiefer is Team Defender. And she flipped a coin. They were going to pick everybody, and essentially they go through the pick, leading for Tina to be picking Tyshawn, who's a Montrealer. At least we got a Montrealer in the house, an urban planner. Kyle, which I don't actually... I'm still learning everybody. Kyle.
Red Deer, Alberta, I think.
Red Deer, Alberta. Okay. Beth, which I believe is also from Alberta.
Also from Alberta, yeah.
Austin, we had mentioned previously. Victoria, who is very out there, very, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Am I going to help you with this? She's bold.
Yeah, no, she's just very eccentric. She's very bold, she's very eccentric.
Yeah.
She's definitely an extrovert.
Oh, yeah.
Vocal, absolutely. So, really like her right out of the bat. You can tell she's not, at least for now, not putting up a fake front. And yeah, so far she was the one that stood out to me, just because she's just, hey guys, like, I'm here, let's go. You know what I mean? We'll see in a few weeks if I don't find her annoying. because we'll see. But for now, I really like how eccentric she is and happy she is to be there. And she doesn't seem to be pulling any BS. She's there to let you know what's up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then Tara.
Tara, yeah. Powerhouse mom. The mom of the group.
Yeah, mom of the group. She played Big Brother with her kiddos to practice. I thought that was funny.
Practiced her nomination speeches.
Exactly. So I enjoyed that. And then of course Tina rather was on. Did I mess that up? Yes. So of course Kiefer was next on the leader of Defenders. We had Jetson, Latoya, Josh, Julie, Brayden, and Rohan. So Rohan, I remember I had something about Rohan here. No, I don't think Rohan was anything crazy, actually. Oh, the reason why I'd mentioned that is because Rohan's name was, I believe, one of the first people being thrown into perhaps nominating him and it was him and Tyshawn, I believe, who ended up having a little bit of an alliance already, even though they were on different teams.
Nope, that would be Jedson and Tyshawn, and then Rohan kind of moved his way in there kind of throughout the first 2 episodes. But he was the one that was all upset when they were actually picking the teams, and he ended up being like second to last or third to last or something. And he was all like, what, do I have like a stain on my shirt? Like, why is nobody picking me? So he's got an ego. He's a strategic partnerships manager. So he's a business bro. So we'll see. I think he's might be overestimating that if he can't get his social game on point here. Yeah.
That's it. But no one wants to be picked last.
Nobody wants to. Yeah, that's true.
So, you get it. But he wasn't last. I believe it was...
Brayden was last.
Right.
Yeah.
Brayden was last. But, he took it with stride. Well, save the best for last. Or he said something along those lines. And I thought that was just awesome. Oh, my God, this dude's positive. Really like Brayden. Thought he was cool.
Yeah.
And then so we find out that there is going to be a competition where basically 2 teams will face off against each other. And we find out, though, that the winning team will be safe and the losing team will be nominated for eviction. So you have 6 people who are going to be nominated. And of course, that's not including the team leads. The team leads are safe for the week. So kudos, Canada. You done made Tina and Kiefer safe for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so then I was just gonna say we get into the competition and it's a weight competition.
Yeah, so it's an endurance competition in that regard. Drop in the bucket is, I believe, what they called it. And so essentially the buckets of sludge kept getting heavier once they got the alarm where the team lead can actually pick which bucket to make heavier on the opponent's team. And ultimately, nothing else really to it aside from the fact that right from the beginning, it was shown that Victoria was acting like she wasn't able to hold the sludge and ended up beating everybody.
I thought, first of all, super impressed, very impressed with her acting skills at the beginning, because I think she's really counting on people underestimating her in a lot of these situations. She's a bigger girl, right? So her weight ratio was likely similar to a lot of the guys. But was really interesting for me watching this was the team captain strategy that happened. So Tina chose to target the muscle on her team in Jedson, or on Kiefer's team. So Jedson, she was just like loading him up, where Kiefer was doling out a little bit of sludge to everybody, hoping for team fatigue over time. Didn't win out in the
smart
end.
Move.
Victoria is on Tina's team, just in case anybody needs that reaffirmed. So Tina's team comes out on top. Team Destiny.
Yeah, that's it. So Team Destiny are your winners, and Victoria is now looking like the champ. So that means then Kiefer's team, Jetson, Latoya, Josh, Julie, Braden, and Rohan are the ones up on the nomination block. And ultimately, everybody gets to vote. The only person that doesn't, though, is Tina, unless there is a tie. So that is pretty cool. So you not only have to, you have to literally go and talk to everybody. You can't just talk to certain people. I really liked that idea. I don't think it's going to be going full-fledged throughout the entire weeks. But for this week, I thought it was a nice little change up.
I do. I love it. I think it also kind of prevents or tries to prevent what we often see in that first week eviction, which is like the person who, sticks out the most, right? Right. Basically, like the person who doesn't make the best first impression goes home, and usually unanimously. So I think that this was definitely an attempt to kind of subvert that pattern a bit by having 6 potential nominations, 13 votes. How do you make those choices? And then, of course, the possibility of having 2 votes here and 2 votes there, I think is much more likely early on rather than later on in the game where you start getting your cohorts and your alliances and things, right? So I think it was definitely a production attempt to avoid our stereotypical first week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might make sense. And so there was still some. So we saw the formulation alliance of the Dolls Alliance, Julie, Braden, Austin. We saw Jetson and Tyshawn also discuss. I don't know if this is still technically a thing, but it looks like it still might be an alliance with Latoya.
Yeah. So those two started talking pre-captains coming into the house. So they were already like, they're the 2 biggest guys in the cast. They're already teaming up, and then they get picked. They're the first picks for either team, right? So they're separated this way. But it looks like no one is really letting these team lines kind of define who they're going to work with, which I think is fascinating. It's smart too, because everybody knows, this isn't going to last all season. Right. So they're not even letting it phase them when it comes to who they're having conversations with, which is really cool.
Yeah, really smart move on Jetson and Tyshawn's part, though, to do that. Exactly. And you cover your bases with the other team, too, in that regard. Because, this is not going to be a forever kind of thing. Eventually, everyone's going to have to break up and play individual games. So really smart move on their part. I'm not sure what gave them the first, because unless maybe they know she's a cop or whatever, but what attracted them to getting Latoya on their team. But I guess, she does seem like she'll say it like it is as well. Although she did seem, from what we've seen, she seemed at least a little reserved before that whole conversation where she came out and whatnot. She seems still a little reserved, but she does look like a badass. We'll certainly see if that is the case. You have to be if you're a cop, right? So.
Well, that's the thing. And I'm like, I don't know if she's actually revealed her profession or not, because we didn't get an opportunity to kind of hear everybody's introduction. Like in the US, it's just bbCan right. doesn't do that. So I don't know if she shared that. I'm assuming she has. But I would be willing to bet that a lot of that had to do with her literal physical presence. Because she's no lightweight. She's in really good shape. So
right, which was a shock to me is why she couldn't win that competition. She wasn't eliminated first, or she was like midway through where she got eliminated. But it's based off the
end. She was near the end.
She wasn't near the end. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's based off, and the cool thing with the sludge too, it's based off everybody's physicality or what they can handle. So it started off at different weights for everybody, technically. So it's not at the same, because obviously some people can hold more weight, some people can hold less weight, depending on their physique.
Well, so, typical endurance style for these types of shows, right? It's going to be % of body weight.
Right. Yeah. They have to, for sure. But I just thought that was interesting that they mentioned that, because I always assumed it was just like that anyways. I'm like, is it not like that? I'm like, okay, sure.
Educating the new viewers. New viewers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Especially now, guys, COVID's here now officially, so we're probably gonna get a bunch of new people watching. Let's educate everybody at the same time.
Yeah,
makes sense. Then we get some drama. So we get some drama in the sense that first we're seeing that Josh is isolated a bit. Josh feels like he's the odd one out. He's not with the Pretty Boy Alliance, which is, I think, technically just all the bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Jetson, the Tyshawn, I believe
Kyle and Rohan.
And Rohan. He's not there. He's obviously not towards. All the women are kind of together. Julie, Latoya at this point. Oh, geez, that's the problem with these first.
They're just kind of they're just kind of hanging out though. Like we're not really seeing like at this point in the show, we're not really seeing any like, thank goodness, we're not seeing the stereotypical like guys versus girls thing kind of coming up or anything like that.
Well, that's what Kiefer wanted.
Oh my God! And Tina shut that down. Thank you.
It's like, nope.
No, not happening. No, but so we're not really seeing anything. But what we are seeing is Josh kind of comes to speak and kind of show some observations that, hey, these four dudes are hanging out a lot, kind of causing a bit of concern for him given his isolation. And he has that conversation with Julie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And at first, this is when we don't really know much about Julie yet, technically, aside from her coming out story and so on. But this is when we don't know anything else. After he tells her about everything, and then I think it was Rohan who actually came out, and they're like, why is he coming out here and so on. He divulges that information to Julie, and then Julie goes and divulges the information to everybody else. And even mentions, hey, I have a big mouth. I shouldn't have said it.
Well, no. So we're talking about this bit initial because we got that trio that's working, Tyshawn, Jensen, and Latoya. They are working together, and they've kind of started already throwing Julie's name out, right? And so after this conversation happens, just between the three of them, not really out loud. And so Josh has this conversation with Julie, and Julie kind of goes and spills the beans to everybody else, and Latoya's in the room. And Latoya's, we kind of hear her off camera, so from the diary room, saying this is exactly, why I have concerns about Julie. I'm worried about her because she can't keep her mouth shut. So very just like pegged her right off the bat. And unfortunately was proven absolutely correct in her initial assessments of Julie. So it's kind of the narrative.
Yeah, I know. That. She was spot on. I didn't kind of get it though, because I'm like, how many alliances are you in, Julie? Like, I know you're with these, I mean, not Julie, but and that's why it was weird to me, because they were all just kind of in the room chilling, and I thought they had made a pact, Julie, Latoya, and thing, but then I'm like, okay, Latoya is also with the guys here, the two guys here, and so I wasn't, at first I didn't feel I didn't know where Latoya had gotten the hatred from. That's maybe where I kind of missed something towards Julie, and Julie being a big mouth.
Yeah, I think it was just, honestly, I think it was just basic profiling. Like you just, you watch somebody, you see how they float, you see how they interact. Yeah.
Yeah, she is a cop. And I guess immediately right when that happened, I noticed how much of a big mouth Julie was too. And then I found her really annoying. Because I'm like, have you not watched Big Brother before? And I feel like that was maybe one of Josh's reasonings for doing what he did. Maybe not, though, because he does mention that he maybe wanted to work with Julie. So maybe that wasn't his inclination to do that.
Maybe. I mean, there was a conversation about, the queer group of people, because we actually have quite a big group, big representation. We have to stick together.
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah, it's a lot in this season, and I think that's great for bbCanada to be doing that. I don't think we're missing anybody.
No, I don't think so.
In terms of representing a certain culture, everybody's represented, which at first I was maybe not shocked necessarily. I guess taken back is almost the same, but I felt like, oh, this is different. And then I'm like, oh, but this is awesome. I get to learn so much about different cultures. So I was taken back, and then I was like, why hasn't this been done?
And I mean,
know?
we've had this conversation before about how, I mean, comparatively, Canada to US, Canada has already been light years ahead on the diversity and representation scale. But yeah, I think that this season really shows, like, you know, what it looks like when you have a diverse cast. And the fact that it felt new is both sad that it feels new, but also very heartening. Yeah, nice representation. But yeah, there was that conversation. Anyways, we get back to strategy. But no, there was that conversation about, you know, having a queer group kind of working together, and I think that that's going to be a downfall. I think if they try to continue that, just because they don't have the numbers. While we are well represented, they don't make a majority, right? So it's it wouldn't be smart. But then we have a subset conversation that happens again, and I don't know if you caught this, but it was when Julie confronted LaToya.
Yeah, and LaToya just didn't want to hear anything. I'm going to the hot tub. I don't want to hear it. And she sounded at this point like she was already fed up. So
yeah,
I don't know. So then we either missed something or they didn't show us where she's heard all the rumors. LaToya has heard all the rumors of what Julie knows and so on, or what Julie's about to do, or she's kind of just heard everybody talk bad about Julie and she was kind of going with the grapevine of being just fed up with her stuff, because she did seem way too pushy.
Julie did.
Yeah.
Maybe. I honestly thought it was because Tara was in the room, right? So if like let's take it back. Like LaToya is in the room with Julie when Julie says that Josh is talking about, you know, the Boys Alliance showing up. Josh has a second conversation maybe with Julie saying that LaToya is throwing her name around. Julie comes in and confronts LaToya with somebody else in the room who, in theory, has not been part of any of the previous conversations.
Right.
So I thought it was LaToya kind of being like, you're confronting me in front of people in a very, very brash way, and I'm not going to answer your questions. Like, I don't owe you anything.
Right.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Interesting the heat so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Like she you could just tell right away though. And I think that's LaToya was just fed up. No, I honestly do, because just the way you can see how she talks about her in the diary room, talks about Julie in the diary room, she just had enough. She had enough with how talkative she is. She can't be trusted. And now the camera is real, or the editing team is really showing us that she seems kind of, well, keep in mind, she's a YouTube influencer, or she's an influencer, social media influencer, or whatever. So she maybe has this sense of entitlement towards her because she has a following, I guess, if you will. And we really kind of see this entitled person come out. At first, she was more, yeah, no,
she's just she's making her way, and she is making space, and she's making herself heard. And the comment you said earlier, I think, really represents it. Like, you do wonder, like, have you watched this game be played before? I also do wonder how much of this is Julie, or how much of this was a character that she put on for the show, right? Because let's not forget that is absolutely a strategy that is totally valid in Big Brother, of creating a persona that is not you. Because I don't know if you can really push that hard in such a short amount of time, being authentically yourself.
Well, and we'll talk about that right now. Because so all this back and forth is happening, right? Julie's name is being thrown. Julie gets mad at LaToya. LaToya doesn't want to talk about it. When they finally do the nominations, or not the nominations, but the voting for the eviction, they are able to ask questions.
Love this.
Question that, yeah, I thought it was really awesome.
Yes.
And they asked really good questions. So one to LaToya right away was, did you ever have, Julie's, yes, so it might have been Julie would have asked it. Did you ever have Julie's name as part of your discussion for nomination? And she was like, well, yeah, I had everybody on my team because if I didn't deal with the pros and cons between everybody, then I wouldn't be playing Big Brother. And I was like, yeah, perfect answer.
It was a great answer. Yeah, it's a great answer.
And so with that, is there anything else you want to take into effect before we get to the vote?
Well, I think Josh's answer, his question was like, did you have an agenda by pointing out that guy's alliance, Julie? Like, was there an agenda there? And he said, no, that was me being paranoid. And I really think that it could go either way, and that, just for the record, that was his actual answer. No, that I was paranoid. That's it. There was no further explanation.
He might have said it in less words. I think he said, no, just me being paranoid. Same thing.
Yeah, no, but just paranoid.
Yeah, just paranoid. That's it. And I was like,
that's it.
Okay.
And so part of me believes that in that moment, he thought he was talking to someone who had his back. Could there be an agenda there? Yes, but the agenda wasn't to frame Julie. The agenda was to go after one of the bigger guys in the house, right? So I think it depends on how you hear that. Like, was there an agenda there? Of course. Everything you do, paranoia or not, there's got to be a reason why you're having that conversation. Do I think that the blame was misplaced? Absolutely. I think Julie really missed out on an opportunity to potentially have an ally by taking that information to try to run with it and get some allies, rather than to be like, okay, well, let's really talk about this. Like, what are our actual options here?
Exactly. She just kind of wanted to splurge. And I don't know what she was doing. She was doing too much too quick. Like, calm your roll, take the info, kind of feel everybody else out if they have noticed, see who might be working with the guys. Maybe it's not just a pretty boy alliance. Obviously, maybe LaToya knows about the alliance too, because she's with two of the guys from the alliance. Like, and maybe that's why LaToya got so offended right away and like, all right, Julie, you're getting too close to this. Let's get you out, because Josh is just trying to be sneaky, but we'll take Josh out when we take Josh out. And honestly, if LaToya and the Pretty Boy Alliance start controlling the house, guess who's their next target is going to be anyways? It's going to be Josh, because I know that Josh is thinking about coming after us, and Big Mouth Julie is going to get out first, but Josh, you're creeping up right behind, So she really messed up her game as well as Josh's game. And I guess if you don't know, I don't know what Josh was thinking. Maybe he didn't know she was as such a big mouth as she was. So definitely divulged too soon to her, though.
Yeah, I think he was desperate to make a connection, right? Because we see that he's not blending in very well. And I mean, even in his bio section or whatever, he said like, I'm usually a lone wolf. Like, I don't do the social thing very well. And I think that it became very obvious, he's in the six. The six, even his six, aren't interacting with him, let alone the rest of the house. How am I going to break out of this? And the only way to do that is to start making friends. And, conversation's currency in Big Brother. So you've got to do something. Wrong person. I think good move, wrong person. Had he maybe taken that to a Kiefer or a Tina, maybe it would have been a different situation.
Right. Yeah, because Kiefer sounds more understanding. He seems a lot more calmer, and he definitely wouldn't have jumped the gun in that regard. Especially since he's safe. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely not a smart move on Josh. But, I get loneliness must suck too when you're in a house with 13 other people and you kind of feel that you don't fit anywhere. Yeah, he was just sort of...
Get it. I mean, he was reaching out to wherever he
whoever wanted
he could.
To listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, bad choice, but, hindsight 2020 is, right?
Right.
So, votes. I think we can go to votes now?
Yeah, so, and this just solidifies that Julie sealed her faith of being such a big mouth, because she was ultimately eliminated or evicted from the game 11-13. That doesn't make sense. 11 votes to evict her out of the possible 13. So It's worthy of noting that the only people that tried to keep her, was obviously herself. She voted to evict Josh and Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria. That surprised me. Once I saw Austin and Brayden cast their vote for Julie, I thought it was going to be unanimous. I literally was like, so much for not having a unanimous first week. And I mean, 11 out of 13 is basically unanimous. But the Victoria one really threw me. And I wonder if Victoria was hoping that she was going to have a shield in Julie, or if she actually wanted to work with her.
Well, that's it, dude. Did we see them really communicate with each other, though?
Not really.
No, huh? Because I'm like, why did you give it to Julie? I mean, and then I was thinking, what happened with the shower scene when Victoria? I had to rewind that because I didn't get what was so funny. She had forgotten her mic, and then, well, I guess maybe she actually ended up not having the towel right there, and maybe they saw her naked or something.
Yes.
Because obviously I thought they already had the towel and whatever.
So it was Tina. It was Tina and Taya. Is that really the two names?
It is
Tara.
Tara, yeah.
Yeah, Tina and Tara are in the room there, and Victoria's having a shower, and Tina kind of pitches the three of them to work together. Victoria not realizing that those BB mics really good. They don't need to be like right by your mouth. So she goes to pick up her mic to kind of join the conversation a bit, which production, you don't want to get yelled at for needing your mic on the first day. Right. And in doing so, opens the shower door before the towel is covering. And this ensues in a wonderful belly laugh of fits and giggles and embarrassment and things that happen in the Big Brie house all the time, I'm sure.
For sure. And thank God, I guess the live feeds weren't up yet, because I'm sure a bunch of BB fan creepers would have screen capped that and whatever. But Big Brother's pretty good at knocking the feeds off, though.
Yeah.
So they most likely would have knocked the feeds off. There's a 7-second delay on things for a reason. But but I mean, I heard the and then she's like, wait, let me go get the mic. And then I'm like, but I heard you. Well, why? And then I was confused. I'm like, did something else happen not noticing? Okay, but I guess she just opened, and because she was legit naked, they started laughing and whatever.
Yeah.
I like that team. I like that team. Tina, Tara, and Victoria. I think they're all really down to earth. Tara seems a bit more. Well, Tina seems like more of. I think she's the oldest one in that group. Out of there, and she seems that's more simmer and calm. Tara is more a little outgoing. Victoria is obviously all the way up 100 on the notch belt there of being really out there. But yeah, I think that's a fun group, and you have a little bit of everything there.
There's some nice balance there, yeah.
Yeah, some nice balance, and that's why I thought maybe she was there through that whole chuckle fiesta, Julie, because I don't know how they're in such good cahoots.
Yeah, no, I don't think Julie was there. I don't think so, because I don't think Tina would have maybe pitched that, because Tina is thinking a little bit. She's not thinking cross team lines, right? So both Victoria and Tara are on her team, so she's creating a little bit of subset early on, which is a good move. I mean, we all know her demographic does not last long unless they are very good. So, and I say that, and then I remember Karen from season 5. So, I think it's just, I think it's a nice group. But yeah, I was totally confused by her vote to keep Julie.
That's it. So, we get some more context with that too, technically. So, obviously, with Julie, she gets the news, she hugs everybody, still cool. But then as she walks out, her entitlement kicks back in. She goes to the front of the door. Before she leaves, she strikes a pose, and she said, "Let's be real. A queen cannot play with a bunch of commoners." And then she left the house. This leads to your point, CiCi, of her actually playing a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like
it was so unnecessary, kind of cringy. Post interview also was not very. It was very kind of not impressed. I think I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Her interview. Okay, well, she's obviously trying to still defend how she played, but I mean, I think she was pretty much right too. I think I was the weaker one in the competition in my group. I was building all of these alliances. That was a threat. Okay, that's not true. That you can mark off. But she said she kind of played too quick, which she did.
See, and I don't think that this is playing too quick. I think she played sloppy. I think she played messy. I think what really bothers me with the interview is like if you would go in there and do something different, what would you do? And she said play more, play harder, which means that she didn't actually get it. Because I'm like, why? You caused a bunch of drama and we're running around everywhere. What do you mean play more and play harder? I don't think you could have done any more than what you did.
And that's it. So that's what I mean by that's why I kind of get where she says too quick. We do get some more context when she does do an interview with ET though.
Okay. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, she mentions that Josh was already telling the entire house what Julie was up to.
Which was?
Yeah, that's kind of where they don't let us know what that was, or maybe I forgot to write it down. But I think that was along the lines of Latoya doing something with getting Latoya out. Because there has to be something more there with Latoya not liking Julie, aside from just first impression vibes and her being a loudmouth. There has to be something else there that they didn't show us, which I doubt they will now show us.
True.
Something was off. Something was off. Latoya just ultimately hated her. One time they were all together, everybody was cool, and then the next time she was completely annoyed. So I'm sure Josh was being very sneaky, and once he noticed that he couldn't really trust Julie, he kind of went around and started spreading some more stuff. Hence, when we saw that Josh was telling Julie, hey, Latoya's been saying your name or whatever, and because Julie's so loud and outspoken, to the point where it can come off as brass, there's something there that Latoya was also fed up with about Julie, and that was just the nail in the coffin, if you will. And honestly, too entitled. I don't know how. She says she was also thankful for telling her story, which is great, but I don't know how you want to be a role model to people who are transgender in the house, and then you go and act like a self-entitled, a self-entitled individual who is going to be in everybody's face. That's you're playing way too hard, and you're way too early. This is it though. She was kind of right. It's too early to have played that crazy. You know what I mean? People are still getting to know each other.
But that game, I mean, that game style doesn't fly. Like, it doesn't fly anywhere anymore. And definitely, I don't think it's ever worked in BB where someone has caused that kind of drama even 3 or 4 weeks in and lived to talk about it. Like, it's that and I personally think that was Latoya's response. Was like, are you seriously confronting me about this so openly and so loudly? Like, I think it was just like, this is not the style of Big Brother. And I can see myself being that type of player of being like, yeah, if this is how you're going to deal with some beef, I really don't want to play with you.
Yeah,
right?
Straight up. That's it. So
I don't know if there's necessarily a personal thing there. I think it's a game. I think it's a gameplay just opposition where Latoya is like, I'm distancing myself as far from that hot mess as I can get.
Smart move. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, in that ET interview, we get more of the friendship between her and Victoria, because she also does mention that she wants the Dolls Alliance to recruit Victoria, so Victoria can be part of the Dolls Alliance with Brayden and Austin, which, whatever, kudos to Victoria. And she also would like Victoria to win.
I wouldn't be sad about that.
I wouldn't be sad about that for now either. I think she is actually my favorite player as of right now.
I agree. She has made definitely the strongest first impression, the most potential for sure. She keeps her social game anywhere close to what we've seen. You know, it's only been a couple episodes, but she seems to have really kind of worked her way in a little bit with every single person in a smart way of just being like, this is who I am. Let's see if she can maintain it. It's a very big personality, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I really do like her. I hope I don't get annoyed by her personality, because I love people who are strong and outspoken, but also if like she even mentions herself, she doesn't have a turn off button where
Hmm.
she's just always eccentric and all that. And I really don't mind that, but at some point I think it just gets overbearing and enough. Like you're eventually going to be annoying the house to an extent.
Mm,
But a lot of people seem to love her right now, and I absolutely love her
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, I think so. I think it's as long as she keeps it real, right?
yeah.
As long as like she can get serious when it has to get serious, right? I can't imagine working with her and just being like, okay, just like bring the volume down. I need you to focus just here for a second. Like just right
Yeah.
here for right. I wouldn't want to be doing that type of management
Right.
of people I'm working with. So as long as she can keep it real and, stay herself, definitely, but just keep it focused. Don't let it become a character, right? Don't let it become something that you feel like you have to do all the time. And I think if she does that, then she'll be okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as she knows how to dial it down. She mentioned she did in her thing, but just keep it real too at the same time. That's what worked for what's his name? The asshole racist from last season in US. Nope, not remember. He's married.
Mem-
He's going out with what's her Memphis. That's it.
Memphis.
Memphis.
Are
That's
really
I think what kind of helped. They're not the same. I'm not saying they're the same
okay.
at all. No, no. I'm just saying the real factor where, of that whole situation when Dave went up to him and asked him, "Hey, are you going to keep me?" And he's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
no, I'm not going to do that." Just that real factor.
Yeah.
Nothing else about Memphis relates to Victoria at all. I don't want you to ever mix the two. Victoria seems like so much of a better person. Only knowing her for like 2 seconds. But yeah, and so for now, I don't know. I'm not really too crazy on the guys. I think the women this season have a lot more spunk in them. I think I maybe only like Kiefer, but I don't think Kiefer is gonna go very far at this point.
Yeah,
Based
no,
off their
he'll be like an Andrew. He'll be that voice of reason, that person that people go to, then he'll try to play too late and it'll get him burned, I think is how I predict Kiefer's game going.
Mm,
Again, guys, I mean it's cookie cutter. It's just, it's kind of the same thing we see from guys in
yeah,
BB Can. There's not really a lot of flavor variety. Let's just put it
right.
that way.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the male side of this cast is kind of humdrum. I'm really, really interested to see how these women take control of the house, because I think we can see this even comparatively to season 6 with the Olivia group. I don't know if you remember her. She's the blonde. If you watch season 6. But yes, I think we could see some really strong female dynamics coming out of this game,
Yeah,
provided they don't get steamrolled physically. But
that's it. So we'll certainly see. I guess that's it. There's lacking a personality trait off the guys for now. The only personality trait I see is Josh, just being,
hmm
the loner kind, and he seems very calm and timid. So I kind of like Josh and Kiefer, and I guess I like Tyshawn just because he's from Montreal. So let's go, urban planner. Let's go. But
yeah.
aside from that, I'm all on Victoria, Team Victoria, and Latoya. Those two are my go-tos to probably take the cake at this point.
I hope so. I really do hope. I agree with that so far based on what we know. Yeah, one of those two I would be very, very happy to see go to the end. I think that they have the tools and resources to make it happen. Yeah, I do not want to see a Pretty Boys 2.0 though. If this season starts going that way, I'm going to be really disappointed.
I feel like it can't get any worse than All Star or Scared season. I feel like we're gonna get a pretty good thing going. The twist was different. You had mentioned to me off air that you weren't necessarily a fan of the production.
Um, yeah, well, I think this is some preconceived notions, definitely from like the first few seasons of BB Can, which definitely
Mhm.
felt significantly low budget. I think that there's there's a contrast between the two. I mean, the prize money alone is significantly less. The casts are smaller, the timeline's shorter. bbCan has a history of over twisting, like to the point where like every week is something different. They made that huge mistake. Was it season 5, season 4, maybe?
I think it was season 4. Yeah, it's just a twist every week. It's stupid.
Every week it was awful. So I just felt like it can. I find bbCan can get a little bit more gimmicky with a lot less effort. So
wow.
We'll see how it goes. House-wise, I mean, I think like the house is great. You know, Abriss is awesome. There's some other things that like really make bbCanada stand aside. I also love the incorporations of things from some of the other. It's a little bit more national, or international, I should say. So it doesn't just draw on BBUS. So there's a little bit more of that silly play, pranks, things like that, which I do enjoy. I appreciate. But budget-wise, I feel like it can get gimmicky really quick, or like the production tries to fill space because nothing exciting's happening. Might be because we're Canadians and just a little too nice.
So I disagree.
Okay.
I do understand your point, though, from comparing from first season to second season of Big Brother Canada. Yes, absolutely. You can tell the production was very low compared to the US. But I think, honestly, as the years went on, the production has been nothing but spot on. To the more so, I even think maybe there's more production value in the Canada one than in the US one. Just by the house build, how the house is built in itself. Prize money, that's something we're never going to change. Honestly, that's a whole thing with contest winnings. We here at least get all of the money as opposed to just a chunk of it. So there is a difference. That's why we do get a lower amount. We get every single dime of it. Nothing else goes to the taxes or whatever have you. So that's one thing. But I find, honestly, just how the house is set up, a lot of the times with the head of household nominations, the keys that they would have to the room that they would go to, I feel like it's a better decorative and an innovative different style of approach that they did. They added a lot of technology to it, I feel. And I don't know. I feel like even with their intros and stuff like that, I feel like it's a bit more movie-esque, if you will. Like it's an actual, like you're watching a trailer to something sort of ordeal. You know, I don't know. I imagine the shit. I would almost guarantee it. But I just feel they make it into like an experience for me in Big Brother. You know,
I can definitely see that perspective, and I'll concede on that point. And I think maybe just like myself as a viewer, like I don't need that.
Okay.
Like it's like that's so not important to me. So maybe that's why I feel like that gimmicky feel where I'm like, well, this is totally something that's completely unnecessary.
Okay.
But yeah,
Can't
I mean,
be
like,
much. I see what you mean there.
Could just be my perspective as a viewer, and which is fair. It's fair, but I'll concede. Like, yeah, but if you compare like season 1, season 2 to 7, 8, 9, like completely different ball games when it comes to production.
Oh,
yeah.
A lot more money was involved, I'm sure. And even I think it was my mom. She had even mentioned that like, hey, this looks better than even the American one, and I was like. Like I agreed, but I was also like, yeah, like I saw it too. It's done differently, but I still feel like they do a lot more change ups. Whereas the US is more trying to keep it the same. They kind of do the same thing over and over, which I guess is what you like. You like that stability compared to all the flash. And...
Oh! Don't put words in my mouth. I love ingenuity. I love bbCan for how every season is different. And it really does, like I said, it brings in some other influences. So it's not just influenced by US, it's influenced by the Brits. Denmark, even they have some parallels happening. We've even had guests in the past from Australia as well. So was Tim and Nikki that were from international BBs that were guests in the bbCan house one season as well. So yeah, so it's a little bit more. It's got some international flavor in it. So I absolutely appreciate that about bbCan for sure.
That is dope. I don't know how the UK one looks at all. So they are taking a lot from the international ones?
Yes, like the pranks and the self-deprecating stuff and the Marsha, the moose, I think is uniquely Canadian, but was inspired by something out of the Denmark series, I believe. So yeah, it's BB Can, they definitely play within the Big Brother universe, and if you will, and they take pieces and fit it, but it is quintessentially Canadian, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, and I don't think the States generally do much, or they try not to do much adaptations of any other one, because they want to be just their own kind of thing.
They want to be their own thing. And fun fact, Americans get almost no international television, just in case anybody wants to know. They don't realize that Canada and other countries have the same reality shows. They think that it's all, they have no idea. So just if you ask your random American, they wouldn't really know. So they don't see it at all. They don't see any international television.
So they wouldn't know that The Office was originally from the UK.
Not unless they became real fans. No.
Fair. Okay. Damn, they're missing. It's good. It's good to. I mean, even me knowing certain things, though, I don't generally go watch the original because I don't know. There's too much crap on TV that I'm bothered by my own Canadian American crap to go and watch unless the origins are just going to be 10 times better. Then by all means, I'll make a ditch effort to do that. Mm-hmm. But aside from that,
Anyhow, tangent over.
Yeah, so back to some BB talk here. And ultimately, so far, so good. For those of you wondering what the nights are, I think the nights technically changed a little bit from last season. Now we're going to have Mondays at 9, Wednesdays at 7, and Thursdays at 8 Eastern.
Yes, all on Global.
So all on Global. Very difficult for me on Mondays, but that's what PVRs are for. So I am excited with that list, and we'll keep it on. We'll hopefully keep it on Fridays because Fridays are generally good for everybody, especially now that with a curfew we can't really do anything after 8. So I know all of you are going to be home.
And live feeds are free in Canada, folks. So if you feel like popping in, taking a look, live feeds are free.
That's it. That's something super cool that Global does.
Just in case you're really super bored in curfew life.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I'll ever get that bored. I'll probably just go watch something else. I'm not a fan of the feeds. I like the recap feed.
Recap feeds are good.
Someone does it. Recap feeds are good, but oh my God, some of the conversation is just dreadfully boring. And then I'm like, this is why we have editors then. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, so far, I guess we kind of gave our first impressions, but kind of final thoughts. So
final thoughts. I think we're in for a good season. I really do. I could not pick a winner right now. Do we have to pick a winner right now?
We'll pick a winner. However, we can change it once we have Steph come back. So like this, it's fair for every. That might not be fair, actually. Yes, you're picking your winner now. No, pick your first impression, and then once we have all three of us on the call, that'll be kind of fair because then we'll all be on the same boat based off of what we've seen, and then we'll do our final winner picks. But give me your first impression.
First impression, LaToya. I hope she kicks some ass.
Fair. I am. Oh my God! Sorry, edit that out. Okay, I am going with. I'm sticking with Victoria, the winner of the first competition of the season, and I just hope she keeps doing what she's doing and she doesn't overboast about it, and gets too chatty house in that regard, and she just knows when to be serious and knows when to be overly social. So. Victoria is my girl that I'm picking. Sorry, Tyshawn. I know Montreal people got to stick together, but you stuck yourself in a Pretty Boys Alliance, and it's kind of boring.
Prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong, though, please, by all means.
Please.
Represent Montreal. We need a Montreal winner, for crying out loud. And yeah, no, that's it. So far, so good. Can't wait till Monday. and see what else they have in store for us. Do you have any kind of predictions on any twists and turns?
I have things that I don't want to have happen. Not a triple eviction. No more triples.
Yeah. No. No, I feel like that would only be a U.S. thing.
Canada has done one.
They have? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to
no
burst
one
your
has
bubble.
learned.
Yeah, no one has learned.
Yes.
So that's all I don't
second
want.
that.
Everything else I'm happy for. And Marsha can come back sooner rather than later.
Yes, please, Marshall the Moose. I'm super down.
Yes.
Not down with them kind of making a COVID theme out of things, though, for the house.
I kind of like it, depending on what they do with it. The overgrown, the things have been abandoned for a year, 2020 being the forgotten year or the lost year. I think a lot of people identify with that right now. So
Absolutely. I don't necessarily, I guess I should have looked at the pictures more or focused on some stuff. The house generally seems pretty almost, it has a little bit more upkeep, I guess, from last year, but it kind of looks almost the same because they're calling it the sequel, right? So the continuation of last year, just with different guests and a few change-ups. But I thought, you wouldn't kind of make it a COVID theme just because
everybody needs an escape.
Everybody needs an escape, and this is kind of their escape. But no, you're going into the Big Brother house. You get to hug people, though, 13 different people, or I guess now 12 different people, and, be different. But it's just having all this COVID hoopla everywhere is kind of not my bag. But, it is what it is.
It's what it is. We'll forget about it soon
So-
enough, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. It's just first impressions. Although they've done a lot, they haven't really done a lot yet, technically. So I'm excited for 1 full week of Big Brother to happen. And you bet your butt we'll have some more to talk about next week, next Friday, for Big Brother. Aside from that, do you want them to follow you anywhere? Any socials yet?
No socials. Sorry, guys. Totally not on top of that at all. It is International Women's Day this past week, and events going on all month. Webinars being hosted by tons of tech organizations. So if you're wondering how the glass ceiling is going, or somehow we fell into a 10-year disparity in women's advocacies in employers, thanks to the lovely COVID, there's a lot of different organizations hosting some conversations. So check them out all month.
Oh, snap. Keep me posted on that. You're always so informative. Keep me posted on that, please. And I'll definitely post some links there as well.
Sure.
That sounds awesome. And yeah, as on my end, I'm not all that informative, but you can find all the stuff that I know and I do talk about at Real Talk Radio. At Real Talk Radio 8 on Twitter, anchor.fm/RTR. You'll want to personally follow me. You can follow me at JLB420. And that website is not going anywhere. So nothing's happening with the website, but anchor.fm/RTR. Follow me. I'll have the social medias and all the stream sites there. You can certainly check me out there. And on that note, here's to a new Big Brother season. It's going to be a heck of a season for us because not only do we have Canada, we also have the U.S. following up right after with season 23, which was announced at the end of 22. So certainly it's going to be quite a road, but we're going to focus on Big Brother Canada for now. And until next Friday, guys, thank you for listening. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.